Hello, I am Varadaraju. I am welcoming you to the performance of IC engines. This is the fifth lesson in the series of the performance of IC engines. Prior to this, you have learned different types of the dynamometers like mechanical dynamometers, electrical dynamometers, and hydraulic dynamometers. See here after some of the topics pertaining to the performance of the IC engines are going to be discussed. These topics are listed as like this. Okay, very first one is indicated mean effective pressure. The pressure inside the cylinder will not be constant because the pressure varies along with the movement of the piston inside the engine cylinder. Calculating the indicated mean effective pressure of the engine cylinder. The next is indicated power. With the help of the indicated mean effective pressure, indicated power which is developed inside the engine cylinder will be calculated. Then brake torque is, you know how to measure the brake torque. What is that? We're connecting any one of the types of the dynamometer to the engine shaft. With the help of that device, you are going to calculate the torque of the output shaft. Next is a brake power. This is a useful power available at the engine shaft. There is a relation between the torque and the power. Then the brake power will be calculated. When the power developed inside the engine cylinder is transferring to the crankshaft of an engine, there are some losses due to the friction between the moving and rotating parts of the engine that we are calling it's a frictional losses, the friction between the moving and rotating parts of the engine, and how best the engine is converting that indicated power into the mechanical useful power with the help of the mechanical components is mechanical efficiency, and how much fuel is consuming to develop these powers. Then specifically how much fuel is expended towards the developing the indicated power, and how much fuel is expending towards the brake power, how much fuel is lost due to the friction between the moving and rotating parts of the engine. Okay, this can be expressed in terms of the specific fuel consumption. So after that, thermal efficiencies. The efficiency of the engine is compared with the heat, how much it is inducting into the engine cylinder, and out of that inducted heat, how much heat is being converted into the mechanical work. These are the thermal efficiencies. And to burn the consumed fuel, the air is needed. How much air is required to complete combustion of the fuel which is inducted into the cylinder? Then they taking the ratio of this fuel to the air, that's the air fuel ratio. Volumetric efficiency, the all the time the volume will not be equal to the swept volume of an engine because the piston sucks the air fuel mixture through the inlet manifold. There is a restriction of the movement of the air when it is moving into the combustion chamber of an IC engine, that in fact in the NTP condition, normal temperature and pressure condition. Here, taking the ratio of the actual volume to the swept volume of the engine, volumetric efficiency will be calculated. And air standard efficiency, this efficiency which we obtained through the calculation will be compared with the standard efficiency. That's the working media in the air standard cycle is the air. How then that can be exhibited with the help of the relative efficiency. Well, after this, the procedure is maintained to calculate the indicated power of a multi-cylinder engine is the most test. Lastly, heat balance sheet, the heat expenditure sheet is developed. How much it is developed, how much it is expended towards the useful work, how much it is carried away from the cooling water, how much is escaped through the exhaust gas, and what is the heat is unaccounted. This is the actual summary or the bird's view regarding the performance of the IC engine. Well, as far as today's lesson concerned, I am going to teach you only up to this mark. What is this? Up to this mark, mechanical efficiency. Okay, here these topics are going to be teaching you. What is this? Indicated mean effective pressure, indicated power, brake torque, brake power, and frictional losses and mechanical efficiency. Very first, let us looking into the indicated mean effective pressure. How? Okay, introduction to the IC engine. I have given many times. IC engines are the devices which are used to convert the fuel energy into the heat energy, in turn mechanical power. There is a correlation between engine speed, engine load, fuel consumption, mechanical efficiency. Okay, studying all these things, we are calling it a performance of the IC engine. Now, if I come out to the indicated mean effective pressure, how the indicated mean effective pressure can be calculated? Well, as I told you, if I start from the suction stroke, during the suction stroke, the pressure inside the engine cylinder is almost equal to the atmospheric pressure. It is shown here. Right. When it goes on compressing the air fuel mixture or air inside the combustion cylinder, the pressure will be increased like anything. The pressure will be peak when the air fuel mixture burns inside the engine cylinder. But the varying pressure inside the cylinder, how can be recorded from the outside? It's a very important. See, this can be recorded with the help of an indicator. What is an indicator? How it is provided to the engine? Okay, in the same manner, how the valves are provided over here. Say one more hole will be drilled to the engine cylinder head. This hole is perfectly finished and it is a spring-loaded ball valve. Okay, here inside the spring is provided and a ball is provided. The outside a scriber will be provided like this. Then a rotor is connected. This is a consider a rotating shaft. Let me consider. This shaft takes the drive from the crankshaft. If it takes the drive from the crankshaft, there is a definite relation between the reciprocating motion of the piston to the rotary motion of this rotor. Right. Say this spring compresses and expands in accordance with the pressure variation inside the cylinder and also in accordance to the volume, because as the volume decreases, pressure increases. Okay, a scriber will be provided. In this scriber, a pencil can be inserted on this rotor. A paper can also be rolled. Okay, when it's given the connection to this variation in pressure, automatically a diagram will be traced by this scriber on the paper. That is nothing but pressure volume diagram. That we are calling it as a indicator diagram. Obtaining that indicator diagram, this is the indicator diagram in which we could obtain out of this indicator. Right. One more question arises. How the area of this curved boundary surface can be calculated? If it's a regular boundary, you would have calculated with the help of the mathematical relations, but it is a crooked boundary. Okay, the crooked boundary area can be calculated with the help of a meter, a specially designed meter is there. That meter we are calling it is a planimeter. Plani is a name of the scientist who designed this meter. How this planimeter used to calculate the area of this curved boundary line surface. Okay, the planimeter consisting of the scribing bar, one end can be fixed on the drawing board. The indicator diagram will be fixed on the drawing board sheet, right? Okay, when you want to find out the area of this indicator diagram, let me consider this is the starting point of the indicator diagram. the scriber will be traced on the boundary of the indicator diagram like this perfectly. When it reaches back to its starting point, the total area of this curved line boundary surface will be recorded on the dial. This is the way in which you can calculate the area of the indicator diagram. Okay, here the area of the indicator diagram and the length of the indicator diagram is needed to calculate the indicated mean effective pressure. See here, PM is the indicated mean effective pressure. Okay, where A is the area of the indicator diagram. This is the area of the indicator diagram. And S is the spring constant. As I told you, a spring will be loaded. The stiffness of the spring is this. Then L is the length of the indicator diagram. See, from here to here, the length of the indicator diagram. It is not shown here. This is the length of the indicator diagram. Okay, in this way, you can calculate indicated mean effective pressure of the cylinder. Okay, one thing has to be noticed. Here, the spring pressure, the spring constant will be in bar per length mm. It is not mm square. Right. Now, let us move on to the how we can calculate the indicated power. See, you know that the power generated inside the engine cylinder is called the indicated power. Right. To find out this indicated power, we need the area of the cross section of the cylinder. All the time, the area of the cross section of the cylinder is circular. You use this area of the circle formula, you are going to calculate area of the cross section of the cylinder. Well, see here, PM is the indicated mean effective pressure, L is the length of the stroke, A is the cross sectional area of the cylinder, N is the speed of the engine shaft in revolutions per minute, K is the number of cylinders. Okay, 60,000 all it will be, it was explained in the dynamometer itself. Now, to calculate the indicated power, a care should be taken. What is that? If it is two-stroke engine, the speed of the engine will be same. It will not be changed because for every revolution in case of the two-stroke engines, there's a one power stroke. Whereas in case of four-stroke engine, for every two revolution, there is only one power stroke. See, that's what, while calculating this indicated power, this if it is a four-stroke cycle engine, then the half of the speed of the engine should be taken. Right. So that's what, in case of a four-stroke cycle engine, the speed of the engine is half of the speed of the engine while calculating the indicated power. I repeatedly am telling you, while calculating the indicated power only. Okay, and K, you know that the number of cylinders. If it's a single cylinder engine, the K becomes 1. If it is a twin cylinder engine, it becomes 2, so on and so forth. Right. Next is brake power. See, you people know that the brake power is the power available at the engine shaft. It's a useful power. It's a shaft power. To calculate this, we need the torque of the shaft. That torque can be measured with the help of any one types of the dynamometers like this. Here, the row brake dynamometer is given. This, with the help of this dynamometer, we can calculate the torque. Well, okay, the BP is equal to, actually this is a shaft power. Shaft power will be always depending upon angular velocity. Here is omega, this is angular speed. This is the torque. This is the torque. T is in torque in Newton meter, where omega is the angular speed of the crankshaft. I am telling you, this is the angular speed of the crankshaft in revolutions per minute. All the time, even in the lab, you are going to measure the speed of the engine in revolutions per minute. But the power we are going to calculate, it will be in watts per second or joules per second. For this reason, this revolution per minute has to be converted into the revolutions per second. The revolutions per minute has to be converted into the revolutions per second. Say that's what it is divided by 60. This is for a cycle. This is for a cycle. Okay, n is speed of the shaft in RPM. From this equation, you can measure the shaft power is equal to 2 pi nt divided by 60 in watts, right? Okay, care should be taken here. Either it may be a 4-stroke engine or the 2-stroke engine. The speed of the engine has to be retained as it is because we are not measuring the power inside the engine cylinder. We are measuring the power at the crankshaft. What the power developed inside the engine cylinder, either it is a 2-stroke or power stroke, it reaches to the engine shaft. Hence, we are measuring the power at the engine shaft. There will be of no change in speed to measure the power. Say this is how we can calculate brake power of an engine. Say quite natural. What is the loss when it is converting this indicated power into the brake power? Okay, this is not needed because it was explained in the first lesson of this series. You watch my first video, there you can understand better how this row brake dynamometer is used to calculate the brake power. It is not necessary to explain it once again. Now I am coming over to the frictional power or the loss. There are many moving and rotating parts of the engine. There is a friction between these moving parts. Some part of the power from the engine has to be expended to operate this and overcome the friction between these parts. That power is called the frictional loss of an engine. Well, you people know that the net power is IP, useful power is BP. This is the loss. Loss plus useful power is equal to total power. Then loss is equal to, that's a frictional loss is equal to total power minus of the useful power. Total power is indicated power, useful power is brake power. So this is how you can calculate the frictional loss of an engine. Then what is mechanical efficiency? Say when converting that indicated power to brake power through the moving and rotating parts of the mechanical parts of the engine, how best these parts are converting that indicated power into the brake power, the ratio of these two, that's a brake power to the indicated power, is called mechanical efficiency. Okay, this is all about the today's lesson. Let us work out a single problem regarding this today's lesson. This is a problem. This problem is consisting of put up to calculate brake power, indicated power, frictional loss, and mechanical efficiency. It is a created problem. Okay, a single cylinder engine working on the 4-stroke cycle. Okay, point to be noted, it's a 4-stroke cycle. When you are going to measure the indicated power, the half the speed has to be taken. Then the following data was recorded. Rope diameter is 40 mm. It's a small d. Brake drum diameter is 800 mm. Okay. Dead weight on the brake drum is 200 Newton. Spring balance reading is 40 Newton. Engine speed is 500 RPM. Area of the indicator diagram is 500 mm square. Length of the indicator diagram is 60. And the spring scale is 1 bar. Okay, this is this different spring. This is the different spring. Okay, this spring is there in the indicator and spring scale reading here it is in the dynamometer. Don't confuse in between these two springs. And bore diameter is 100 mm, length of the stroke is 150 mm. Calculate useful power, total power, frictional loss, mechanical efficiency. Dear students, while working out the problem, you have to plan on your own. In which units are you going to put the answer? Right. See here, the dimensions are given in the millimeters. If you want to retain in millimeters, no problem. If you want to convert the data according to your working out the problem, you may do the data analysis like this. What is that? Okay, the diameter of the rope is converted into the meter, diameter of the brake drum is converted into the meter, 0.8 mm, Newton is Newton, then speed of the engine and the area of the indicator diagram, right? The length of the indicator diagram, here also the diameter of the engine cylinder is converted into the meter and the length of the stroke is also converted into the meter. It's a your will and bliss. Either you may retain with the mm and finally you may convert, or you may convert here only and you go on calculating the answers. Okay, now we have to calculate the indicated mean effective pressure. It is explained, that is A into S divided by L. A is the area of the indicator diagram, it is given, this is the area of the indicator diagram. S is the spring constant, it is given 1 bar, and L is the length of the indicator diagram. It is not shown. L is from year to year. L is from year to year. See, area of the indicator diagram is given is a 500 mm square. Spring constant is 1 bar, and this is the 60, it's the length of the indicator diagram. This is 60. This is 60. Okay, after substituting the values, we are obtaining the indicated mean effective pressure is equal to 8.33 into 10 to the power of 5 Newton per meter square. Right. Now, we need area of the cross section of the cylinder because indicated power is equal to PM LAN divided by 60,000. PM is calculated over here. Now we have to calculate the area of the cross section of the cylinder. Okay, diameter of the cylinder is given. If the diameter of the cylinder is given, you apply the circle area of the circle formula, then you are going to get the area of the cross section of the cylinder. Okay, this is the diameter. Pi d square by 4 is the circle area of the circle formula. Then area of the cross section of the cylinder is 0.00785 meter square. Substitute both these values in this equation, IP equation. PM, L given, it's a 150 mm, it's a 0.15 mm. A, this is the A. N, here N, we are calculating the indicated power. It is a 4-stroke cycle, point to be noted. Then the speed has to be half the speed of the engine. That's a 500 RPM has to become the 250 mm. Here is a 250, 250 RPM. Area of the cross section of the cylinder, length of the stroke. This is a indicated mean effective pressure. It is divided by 60,000 to put the value in kilowatts. Next is torque. Why the torque is needed? Very simple. To calculate the output power of an engine. Okay, these things are not needed to explain because it is explained in the first thing. What the values are given over here, you substitute here. It's I think it's a 200 Newton. It's a 40 spring scale. It's a 0.8. It's a 0.4. So after substituting all these things, you are getting torque exerted on the rotational speed of the engine shaft is 67.2 Newton meter. Substitute this torque in this brake power equation. You're going to get the brake power is equal to this one cycle. This is the speed of the engine. This is the torque on the engine shaft. I'm reminding you, in case of calculating the brake power, Either it may be 2-stroke or the 4-stroke. The speed will be the same. It will not be changed because we are not calculating the power inside the engine cylinder. We are calculating the power at the engine shaft. So that's what. Whatever it may be the case, either a multi-cylinder engine or the single cylinder engine, whatever one may be the sorts, this while calculating the brake power of an engine, the value will remain same. So next is frictional loss. You know this, it has given, you have calculate the IP also, you have calculate the BP also. Difference of these two is the frictional loss. And mechanical efficiency is the ratio of useful to power to the total power. Let's say brake power to the indicated power. So this is the mechanical efficiency of the engine. Oh, yes, this is a very good engine. We have targeted the very good engine because mechanical efficiency is 86.01%. That means what? The friction between the moving and rotating parts of the engine is only small, or else we have filled the very good lubricating oil to lubricate these moving and rotating parts. Okay, with this information, I am concluding today's lesson. This is the problem pertaining to the calculation of the power and the mechanical efficiency and the frictional loss. If you come across any doubt, you watch this video repeatedly. Your doubts may be put in the comment box. I will certainly clear your doubts. Dear students, when you are going to watch my videos, you watch in the ascending order. So that's what in the beginning I am telling you. This is the first lesson, this is the second lesson, this is the third lesson. If you watch the video in the random order, you will not in position to make out the topics very clearly. So that's what early in the beginning I did tell you.